It looks like that Kyle Busch is officially going to be heading to Richard Childress Racing in 2023 and will be leaving Joe Gibbs Racing at the conclusion of the 2022 season to head to Richard Childress Racing. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We've got a really quick special report here video for you guys today. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, as I just mentioned a second ago, as I just gave you the word, Kyle Busch, according to The Athletic from Jordan Bianchi, he reports that Kyle Busch is expected to join Richard Childress Racing heading into the 2023 season. The decision is expected to be coming this Tuesday. I don't know exactly if it'll be in the morning or in the afternoon, but it'll be coming, and it's expected to be coming on Tuesday. It is unclear currently at the moment if it will be a third car that they basically are going to run, or it will be a second car. It could potentially be, though, that Tyler Reddick could be leaving this Richard Childress Racing at the conclusion of the 2020 season, and Kyle Busch replacing him in the A car, but that has not been confirmed yet. But like I just said, there is a possibility they could add a third charter there. This is something that's been expected for a very long time, and multiple people have been saying for weeks on end that Richard Childress Racing has been the favorite for Kyle Busch, and it really, to me, is not a major shock or not really a major surprise at this point. He is going to Richard Childress Racing. While, yes, I do think it is a pretty big downgrade for sure compared to Joe Gibbs Racing. Well, it's going to be a little bit of downgrade compared to Joe Gibbs Racing. I still think that this move is a very solid move for Kyle Busch. Look at what Tyler Reddick's been able to do this year in that A car. That car has a really good chance to win the championship this year. I think Reddick could still end up winning the championship, and Reddick has already scored 2 victories. And Richard Childress Racing has won the most races that they've won in a single season since 2013, when they won with Kevin Harvick, like, think of around 3 or 4 times, and he won a couple other races that season as well. And of course, Reddick has just been really solid, and Austin Dillon made the playoffs this year as well. And no, I don't think Kyle Busch, like I said, will have the same success that he has been able to have at Joe Gibbs Racing, where he's won 59 career races. He still is going to be able to, I think, to accomplish enough. Do I think he'll be a championship threat at Richard Childress Racing? I don't think so in the first year. But I do think by the end of time, by the end of the next couple of years, the longer Kyle Busch stays, I think the better he'll be. But I do think that Kyle Busch in 2023, I do personally believe that Kyle Busch will be winning at least 2 or 3 races next year. I know those are really high expectations, especially when it comes to the Richard Childress Racing equipment, but I do think that Kyle Busch will be somewhat of a threat into that car. So with Kyle Busch leaving Joe Gibbs Racing to go over to Richard Childress Racing, who is going to be taking over the 18 car? Well, while it's not confirmed at this point, it is expected that Ty Gibbs will be taking the 18 car next year. Joe Gibbs Racing, with Kyle Busch leaving, they're expected to save $10 million with Ty Gibbs getting into the ride. Ty Gibbs also has sponsorship and funding from some companies like Shriners Children's Hospital and, of course, Monster Energy, which has been backing Ty Gibbs really throughout time. And I don't think Ty Gibbs in the first year is going to have the same success that Kyle Busch has had, but I do think that Ty Gibbs will I think he'll do solid enough to get some really strong runs in that car. To me, I think Ty Gibbs getting moved up to Cup, I think is good. And he's already had a lot of Cup Series experience as well. And I know that Joe Gibbs said a few months ago he really wanted to keep Ty in the number, basically keep him in the number 54 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But I think with the success that, he's had in Xfinity, already scoring 5 victories this year, he's definitely got a shot to win the championship. He almost won his 6th race of the 2022 season in Xfinity. And not to mention, he's also been able to have a lot of Cup experience as well, with already 8 races this year. And more than likely, unless Kurt does return, which there still is a potential shot that Kurt Busch still could return at the end of this year, I think when you look at what Ty Gibbs has done, though, in those select races, he's got a shot to potentially get a second career top 10 and could have an outside chance to win this weekend as well in those really good-looking Monster Energy and that really good-looking McDonald's scheme that kind of looks very similar to what he had in the 45 car, but it'll be in that 23 car most likely for the rest of the season unless Kurt Busch decides to return. Like I said, though, I think this is I don't think this is the greatest move in the world. I think that if Kyle Busch really wanted to stay, I think Joe Gibbs Racing was still going to be the best move. But I think of the options he had, I think this was probably overall the best option that he was overall going to have. So, again, it would have been cool if he would have stayed at Joe Gibbs Racing, but they just were having issues talking, and sponsorship was a big factor because, remember, M&M's is leaving at the end of this year, and they were going to need a sponsorship and funding. And remember, they had a sponsorship from Oracle ready to go to sponsor Kyle Busch. but unfortunately, because of the fact that Kyle Busch, really wasn't available, didn't have the sponsorship basically available at the time, this is where the backup they had to choose. So, is it unfortunate Joe Gibbs Racing is losing Kyle Busch with all the success he has? Yes, because Kyle Busch is going on to win 56 Cup races with the team, around 4 or 5 exhibition races, and he's also been able, to be able to go out and win 2 championships. He's helped the Toyota program. Now, the other big thing to talk about is what is going to happen with Kyle Busch Motorsports. No one truly knows at this point what's going to end up happening with Kyle Busch Motorsports. No one at this point knows because, we heard basically some cryptic messages, which we'll talk about later this week when I do a little bit more of an in-depth video on this situation when the announcement does come out on Tuesday. But I'm really excited to see what Kyle Busch do there. But going back to the Truck Series program, that's something that really needs to be talked about is with KBM. Are they going to keep Chandler Smith and John Hunter in the program, considering Chandler Smith is a Toyota development driver? I know he's part of KBM, but he is a Toyota development driver. He's been part of that stable for the last 3 or 4 years. So are they going to drop Chandler Smith from KBM? And is John Hunter Nemechek going to be dropped? John Hunter basically, he was originally the reserve driver for Toyota and also has made starts for Sam Hunt Racing, which is really developed in that group, and also has made starts with Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity as well, and has contended for wins in the Xfinity Series as well. That's going to be another thing that we're going to have to watch. But I think overall, this move has been something that's been expected. A lot of people have been told this was going to happen for weeks. I know 2311 had been one of the teams that had also been kind of into conversations for Kyle Busch, but at the end of the day, I think that this move, again, do I think this is the greatest move in the world for Kyle? No, I think the best move would have been for him to stay with Joe Gibbs Racing, but I think it's cool to see, though, that he's finally, got a decision done. It's really going to be finally done with it. I think we're finally getting done with the Kyle Busch sweepstakes. There's at least going to be 1 or 2 more videos for sure that we'll talk about in depth about Kyle Busch and this whole situation, but we should be getting the official word on Tuesday in regard to that, and Kyle Busch is going to be heading to RCR finally. Unclear if he'll be in a third car for RCR. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, and I'll go more in depth about it later this week. So anyway, that is going to be it for today's special race report for the Kyle Busch announcement. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Link description below over that, and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What are your thoughts about Kyle Busch heading to Richard Childress Racing officially in 2023? Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow, of course, we have the NASCAR Cup Series race from the Cup Series race at Kansas Speedway, and we'll be talking about the race after that. Then Monday, we'll have a big NASCAR recap video and go more in depth about the Kyle Busch news on the channel. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.